is clearly a collective responsibility, or rather, we would need a collective. If we're going to have impactful change, it has to be one that is a collective effort. Prof, considering all that you've painted, I mean the scenario or multiple scenarios that you've painted, how it stands currently? I mean, because earlier I asked about how this situation impacts on, the incentives and attractiveness, of this sector for investors. As it stands currently, what therefore is the efficacy of Nigeria's, fiscal and non-fiscal incentives in attracting investors, to this sector, or attracting investment to the mining sector, and to what extent do these incentives align with global best practices? How do they align with investors' expectations? And how do they also align with the country's development goals, particularly in relation to our economic diversification goals, revenue generation, and sustainable development?
I think the lack of synergy and the crisis that we have in the mining sector discourages investors. Nobody wants to bring in billions or bring in millions or bring in investment into a sector that is disjointed. We need to put our house in order, come together and make it seamless, so that if somebody is coming in with investors, it doesn't end up becoming again like the oil sector, what you had in the petroleum industry, when basically we do not carry along the communities, we do not carry along the local government and so on. So you go there, you start finding a crisis of kidnapping, crisis of disruption of operations. If we do things right, as put in the Mining Act, we won't have any problem, and investors will come. My biggest problem, yes, you do the technology, gather the data, and when you gather the data and the man has collected the data and everything, and he's happy to, for example, move into Nasarawa State. Have you prepared the grounds in Nasarawa State sufficiently peaceful enough for him to move in there? Why? You need to do that. And the only way you can do that is to carry along both the state, the local government, the communities, the community, and the families, landowners, to say the least. And at the end of the day, it will be so peaceful, so organized. But at the moment, we don't have that. We will be telling ourselves a lie if we say we do. The problem is that there's this overbearing complaint. States are interfering. Have you found out why they are interfering? Most times they're not interfering in selfish interest. They are interfering in overriding public interest. The public interest of the state, which for every governor, the governor swears to maintain and sustain the integrity of the environment of his state, the health of the citizens of his state, and the well-being of his state, and peace and security of his state. So if an activity engineers insecurity, if an activity engineers poor health, engineers the environmental damage, degradation of infrastructure, because the roads are mostly built by the state, not federal government. Mining roads in this country are not federal roads, they're all state roads and community roads. So when you are destroying those roads and you don't carry them along, they are bound to complain and they're bound to tell you, hey, wait a minute, you cannot continue. And that's what is going on now. And we need to come back and sit down. The next mining council should have a session. The next mining council, we were to hold it in Nasarawa State, but it was, some of us were already heading to Lafia when it was put up. We need to sit down and have a session and say, can we now discuss this? So that going back from mining...
And Prof, sorry to butt in here. I understand that the Mining Council is now a big deal. I mean, compared to what we used to, or what obtained in the past. The Mining Council under the current administration is somewhat of a conference of just about every stakeholder in the sector. So it becomes a good place to table some of these issues, perhaps review some of the policies on ground, and resolve some of the issues. Is that right, Prof?
Yes, that's what it should be, and that's the essence of that. That's supposed to be where we look at the different policies. That's where we should even generate any modifications, any amendments to the Act, and say, in the light of experiences and so on, shared experiences, we need to now do this. We will sit down in an air-conditioned conference room somewhere and say we are modifying the Act. You must come to the conference, you must come to the Mining Council and sit down with all stakeholders. Set up a group, a working team. That working team should by now be working, preparing for the council, and now present a report of what it has agreed. Take the states where active mining is going on, where are these interventions, where do you believe these interventions are taking place. Bring them all together, sit down and say, let's see now how we can move. The Mining Act provides for everyone to be a party, to participate.
Prof,
yes,
I
you have a
noticed,
mining license. You have
Prof, I